So let's begin. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's pretty early on, so let's dive in. Our presentation is about preview environment, about increasing collaboration, inclusivity, and community. My name is Sully Martinez. I'm a community builder. I'm also a software engineer based in Boston. I'm very passionate about community and advocating for inclusivity. So I'm very excited to be here and bring this discussion with Ramiro.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Ramiro. I'm the founder of Octeto. At Octeto, we're building a platform to automate dev experience, dev environments, preview environments, all that stuff on top of Kubernetes. And excited to be here. We just flew in from the US a couple days ago, so we're still kind of like feeling some of the jet lag, so bear with us, but it's amazing to be here and really love the venue. Civo keeps surpassing us out with good, cool venues.
Shows of hands, who are using preview environment in their team currently? Okay. Do we know what preview environment is? Shows of hands? Okay, got it. All right, let's dive in.
So it became kind of a cliche, right? But like software is really everywhere. This old phrase of like every company is a software company is now true. Like we see software everywhere on our cars, on our coffee machines, on the cloud, our phones, everywhere. It is now reality. Like all the biggest companies in the world, they might be doing other things, but at the end of the day, all of them build software. And what happened with this, which to me is fascinating, is that software teams have becoming more and more diverse. Many years ago, when I started my career, software was done by one person, working, and you could ship an entire product by yourself. That is no longer the case. Today, you have people that write code, people that design interfaces, people that test the software, people that talk to customers, people that design business processes. Everybody is part of the software creation process and many more, right? But you get it. It's now a lot more than before. It's no longer the domain of just people who write code. It's now way more than that. However, when we're thinking about a feature development, this is kind of what the standard process looks like. You assign a feature to a developer, they write the feature, they send the code review to their peers where they review standards, scalability, all these things. Then you merge it. Hopefully, automatically, it gets to staging. And then, if you're lucky, it gets to kind of the first stage with other people will be able to see the feature. Or, in many cases, it goes straight to production. And that is the first time that everybody else, everybody who was not involved in writing this feature, is going to be able to see the changes and see, hey, this is what we're about to ship, or in some cases, this is what we just shipped. What do you think about it? And this is kind of one of the biggest problems I've seen, happen in my career, which is, look at that bright pink rectangle. It's way over to the end, right? By then, the work's been done. Developers are now working on something else. So then by now, if you have to give feedback, it is too late. And that is a huge problem because there's a lot of studies about this and how the emotional attachment that we all get when we write our code, when we ship it. Everybody knows that the sooner that you give feedback on anything, the easier it is to fix, the more collaborative it is, the less attached and less combative we all are. And this is not great because we're cutting off a huge amount of people from the feedback process just by virtue of gatekeeping it by who can read code and who can't. So what if we could take that bright pink square, and move it as soon, as shifting as left as possible. And I know shift left kind of has a bad rep now around like toil and complications. But imagine if we could move that feedback process from feature shipped, let me know if you like it, to like, hey, I'm working on this, check it out, tell me if this is like delivering value. And could we? Yes, we can.
We can. And if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with Barbie. So let's dive in. So a few of you already know what preview environment is. So now let's understand what preview environment is in the lens of the advantage it is in terms of bringing it to our team. So I'm gonna wear the hat of a stakeholder, of an owner of a famous taco restaurant, because who doesn't love taco? Preview environment allow us to pre-test and see our code before it merges to the main branch. Not just including just the technical developer, but also the non-technical, to get to view these code and changes and provide feedback early in the stages instead of waiting until the end of the loop, which is at this time is a little too late. Ideally, this would be like the interpretation or the integration, like as soon as the pull request is open, we get to see the code review in a visual integration simultaneously before it merges. So now every pull request that is opened, you get to see the code changes and like a visual integration of that, like an isolated environment. Similarly, like Netlify that lets you preview your application before you deploy it. Ideally, as an owner, I would like to see these feedback early on, because by the time it hits deployment, it's already impacting my customers, and that's the last thing I want. And if the feature is not what I expected, or it's not the standard, or it's not performing, I'm gonna have to ask the developer to redo this whole process again, clone the repo, create a new branch, and now it's disrupting the whole flow of the developer. They had to start all over again. And it's only impacting the human aspect of it. Like that developer is already focused on a new project, and I'm asking them again. Imagine asking them multiple times for feedback, or letting them know that that feature that they created is not what I expected, or the team, or it's just gonna create that impact on them. I'm like, maybe create imposter syndrome, because they kind of questioning if their work is already at the performing. And then if we delay this feedback, it's gonna delay the new features. It's gonna impact the flow of the customer too, because if the feature is not what we expected, then the customers is also interacting with that, and then it impacts the costs, like the resources that we using for maintaining. So this is the repeated process that we're trying to avoid. Early feedback essentially will allow us to enhance our product, because we now seeing diverse feedback. Everyone is like talented. Everyone is a collaboration process. So now we have the chance of increase our growth in terms of business, increase the time it is released to production, and then fostering that collaboration process between all of our team. Again, everyone has a particular talent. Why not bring everyone to have these ideas early on in the stages, instead of waiting already when it is impacting potential customers? And essentially, no one gets to miss out on these delicious tacos. I know it's early, we don't have real tacos, but let's dive in. And now Ramiro will introduce us on a high level of how to set up the preview environment and test some of these microservices.
Yeah, so we'll show you a quick demo of what this looks like in action. And as, back to here. As Sully said, right, we have this online store, it's an emporium. Starting in the US, is growing to other places. We take our show to as many conferences as possible, and it's a very simple app. And this is open source. If you want to check it out later, we'll share the link. But it's 3 microservices. One that lets you ask for your order. Let's say, hey, it's early, so we'll have, hey, 1 hot coffee, because we also do drinks, not just tacos. And I'll put my order. Then there's a second service where I forgot to add and now order. So you see that's actually live. It's a live demo. It works. You see there's a hot coffee. This is the other service. The kitchen is cooking. They say, yep, coffee's ready. Ring the bell, ship it, and then finally you can see the orders as they come through. You can charge your customers and send them their delicious 1 hot coffee. So this is the application we're using today. Microservices, the whole thing is running on Civo, on Kubernetes. And this is, production. But if you notice here, you can see here that it says it's powered by Octero Kubernetes. Octero is the company I started. But, the owner of the business had a requirement for this software.
The brand, yeah.
Which is, we're going to be at Civo.
And we changed it, the logo. I don't know if we still have it. It was humongous. It didn't fit the aesthetic of our brand, so I had the developer redo the logo. And then I requested it, but he received it well, and he changed the logo.
Yeah. So the requirement was, hey, let's put the Civo logo because we're gonna be here, just to show this. You can see what we're doing here behind the scenes is we're using GitHub Actions and Kubernetes to create this environment. It's running on namespace in Kubernetes, so I can click on one of these pre-environments. You can see that this is still all my services, different URL, different namespace, different data, isolated. But you can see that,
It's humongous.
the humongous logo that she was talking about is like, hey, this is not okay. Like, no, we have a certain static. We want to change it. I'm just working. Hey, sure. I don't care. We'll do something else, I guess. And this is kind of like the beauty of preview environments, if you haven't seen them before. It's a very trivial change, but you have the entire application here. Anybody who's reviewing this, like,
Get to see the code.
the front-end team can go and see the code and says, hey, yeah, you're using the right thing, you have the right logo. But if you look here, like, nothing tells you that it's like this huge logo, right? It's an SVG, it looks okay. So this is what we were talking about earlier, how reviewing code, giving feedback now can be more than just looking at the code. Like when you see these things running live, you can catch up a lot more things than before. So, I show it to her. She was like, yeah, but that huge logo, what's going on? So, I have this running in code spaces. I can go and actually, let's look it up. And you can see I make this change based on her feedback to actually set up that's not the one. Yep, to set up what's going on there? There we go. Oh, where is, here we go, yeah. So you can see we make the change. Now we have this, and I prepared a separate branch for this, just because you want to risk it not running here. But you can see that now I added another pull request, scaling up the logo as requested. If I go here, you can now see that it looks nicely. What's really cool, what I found really cool about this is everything is running on Kubernetes. In this case, this demo, it's all built on open source. GitHub Actions is using kubectl, Helm, all running on Civo. But the most important thing is that we can all collaborate on this. Again, a very simple example, but you have a full cloud-native application running on your cluster. And now everybody in your team, not just the developers, stakeholders, PMs, even your customers in some cases, could come, check it out, and give you feedback. And because it was so early, it was fast, it was agile, and
Run it on the local machine. They just need to use the URL link and have access to these changes simultaneously. So before, it was only the developer that can provide feedback. Now we get to bring everyone to kind of in this process, and they don't need to, like I said, they can run it on their own machine. They just need the URL link, and they'll be able to access the changes simultaneously. And again, we are using here GitHub Action with Kubernetes, and to essentially create preview environment. GitHub Action allows you to deploy in fast speed up your environment. Kubernetes allows you to create the cluster that you're going to be targeting with the Docker image, and then essentially create this preview environment where you can test all of your microservices app. Kubernetes is such a powerful tool, and it's very easy to create a pull request. It allows you to deploy all of your apps to all of the dependency. You're able to create namespace to now, again, to isolate these environment and test your microservices. And it's like the cool thing about Kubernetes, it also auto-updates. So as soon as it detects changes on the software, you'll see these reflection also on the URL preview environment. And it's also easy to clean up and destroy. So as soon as that you're done with it, because essentially preview environment is about just temporarily seeing these changes and destroy once you're done. You can schedule these cleanup and just saving additional resources. So we are not the only one that think that preview environment is great for our team. These are just few examples of companies that I'm sure you already know. We got Shopify users to kind of detect these issues early on in the process and test it and provide these feedback early in the process again. Netflix is, again, catch these errors and increase the quality of the code. Cisco is, again, enhancing that collaboration process, enhancing the team dynamic, and then also saving additional money on cost a costly, expensive infrastructure. And now summarize the advantage of Kubernetes.
Yeah, and this is something that it's relatively easy to get started. Like you don't have to go like crazy. I think one of the things, as Sully was saying, is that Kubernetes is really good at spinning up infrastructure at scale and giving you all the tools to manage it. So it's something that is becoming increasingly easy. Back in the day, Heroku kind of invented this concept. You see Netlify, Vercel for like more like the front-end applications. But it's something that you can really go and deploy, spin up a cluster, create the automation needed, and run. Start simple. What I've seen works really well is, hey, pick one application, maybe pick one service, get your team used to it, set it up, kind of create that as an example. Leverage the ecosystem. There's a lot of solutions. There are open source solutions. There are vendors like my company and others who can help you out with this. And the most important thing is automate the whole thing. The beauty of this is when you don't have to think about it. If you require your developers to manually deploy every time they launch a pull request, it's never going to happen. We're all busy. We all want to do other things. It's just too much for us. But if you automate it so that I can just push my changes, create a pull request, maybe based on a tag, maybe for every pull request, and just create the environment and make it accessible to everybody, and then even do things like share the links on Slack or reach out to whoever, that is the key to make this easier for everybody and to really make it successful. Because one of the keys as you're introducing this kind of new practices is you want people to feel like, hey, this is valuable. So put it there, let them use it, start kind of promoting, hey, can you invite this other person for the review? Things like that, they just work really well. And there's a lot of companies out there kind of pushing this practice, talking about it. It's really something that I'm really hoping it will become a standard in a few years. I was talking to somebody right before how, once you have this set up and you're used to it, you kind of get used to it. It's so much simpler. I can go see my PR, click on it, make sure things work end to end. And historically, preview environments have been used only for front-end applications, but that's not the case anymore. As you see the example here, they can also be used for backend, for serverless, for anything. Really, we have now the infrastructure and the automation to spin up environments. I've seen, through our work, companies with hundreds of microservices spinning up environments on Kubernetes. It's not simple, but it is something doable. And the value you gain for this, the speed, the quality of feedback, all that is really worth it.
Yeah, so it's essentially Preview Environment is about bringing everyone to the party. Everyone has a valid contribution, and I don't know if you've seen the movie, but yeah, it's about merging all of that because it's not about just the business value that it brings, but it also is about fostering that collaboration and allowing everyone to contribute. And essentially, again, Preview Environment is not only about the technical aspect of it, but it's about bridging that gap between the developer and the rest of the team, ensuring that everyone is at the same page, meeting and essentially expressing the best experience for the user and the customer. And very excited to connect.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, right? Remember that one of my favorite aspects of kind of these events is remind everybody and talk about how it's about humans using technology to improve our outputs. It's not just about doing Preview environments for the sake of it. It's because you want to make your team more inclusive, highly collaborative, fast speed, and at the end of the day, to get the business results that you're looking for. So with Preview environments, everybody's invited to the party. I mean, make your choice. You can validate during dev, be happy and joyful, or you can go into prod and be sad and scared. But thank you. I hope the talk was useful. I hope you all go at home and start implementing Preview environments. But before we are done here, any questions?
We did a great job. No questions. Okay.
I can ask something. So, Mike, please. Okay. I think, and sorry if this is a stupid question, maybe I missed something. So how does this actually work? Like I saw on your website, as you were doing the talk, sorry for not paying attention the whole time, I saw that there is a YAML to configure the preview environment, and then that deploys where? It deploys wherever I want, or any cloud, and I'm just missing the part, how does this work? I mean, maybe I missed it at the beginning because I missed first couple of minutes of the... Don't know if you showed this before.
Is this working? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This works too. Or I can have it back, I guess.
Thanks.
No, that is a good question. So what we went through with this talk today is kind of talk more about the concept and not get into the implementation. But high level, the way you normally implement this is, and this is what I did here, is one, you go with a vendor, and then all of this is taken care of, or you can build from scratch, which is what I did here to kind of illustrate what it takes. But high level, what I did is I actually went Civo and deployed a cluster. This is not a paid ad. I actually do enjoy the fact that those clusters spin up in like a minute. I have a cluster running on Civo. I got the Qt config from there, put it as a GitHub secret on GitHub for my action, and then I built this action that builds my images on any pull request, creates a namespace in this cluster, and then rolls out the application. In this case, the application is a monorepo. It has a bunch of Helm charts, containers, and that is the idea. The idea is, and this is what I love about Kubernetes, is it runs anywhere. And if what you build is speaking Helm, kubectl, or any of these APIs, it can run anywhere. And today we're running this on Civo. You could be running this on a cluster on Berrelleza, GKE, really anywhere you want. But it's a great question. And I think that speaks to the flexibility of this kind of approach is really about, run it as close as possible to production, run it ideally on the same configuration, especially if you're doing complex things like service mesh, identity, security. There's a lot of value in that as well. And that's the whole idea. And again, this repo is available. If you check that link on the QR code, you can go to my blog, and I'll put the link for this. It's just an example. It's a simple app, but I think hopefully illustrates the power of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you can just, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to the conference, and see you in the hallway.